Hello, my Graphospasm friends. I am so excited to bring you another Graphospasm lesson. So many of you have been following these for a little bit, and as if you haven't heard already, I'm coming to you raw this year. That means these are going to be unedited. You're going to have my mistakes. You're going to have all the ugly. I might stumble around. I might use a pen that doesn't work and have to throw it. I'll just try not to throw it through the screen at you and we'll be good to go. But one of the things that you may have learned also if you've been with me this year is that I have a special teaching method that I use with every writing course that I teach, every writing class that I teach, and I call that my full sensory method. The full sensory method is all about getting both sides of your brain firing at the same time, because the more of your brain is working, the more likely you are going to be to continue writing and to continue finishing the work that you begin. Full sensory, therefore, is going to concentrate on doing those very tangible things, those things that we can honestly see, hear, taste, touch, smell. It's going to be very real and observation based, and it's going to be something that's going to tie more to that logical side of our brain. Then we have the other side of our brain, which is going to be that creative. And this is where I bring in TFIs, or thoughts, feelings, imaginings. By using both sides of the brain, you're going to be able to get a lot more accomplished. You're going to stop hitting those walls. This is going to break right through writer's block. So oftentimes I will call my full sensory teaching and some of the short lessons that you can do a block breaker. So speaking of coming to you raw, I don't know if y'all just heard my phone beep there. So I am going to silence this. I tried to do this usually before we get started, so sorry about that. Good to go. All right, so most of my block breakers, I have some long lessons, obviously, that use the full sensory approach. Block breakers are meant to be something that you can do in 5 to 10 minutes. So I hate when you're suffering from writer's block and you go online and you're like, how do you fix writer's block? And they say, oh, well, try writing about this. You idiot, I have writer's block right now. I can't write about that. Don't tell me something specific to write. Well, I'm experiencing a writer's block. Tell me how to break the block. And that's what we're going to do today. So these are really quick things. If you wake up in the morning and you're ready to write, but you have writer's block, even though this was the time you set aside to do your creating, pull out a block breaker, see if this helps you break through that writer's block and get the creative juices flowing. So sometimes what you create in your writer's block, in your block breaker, might be something that you would use in your actual story. Other times, it's just a tool to get past that moment you're in. This one is called the sensory countdown. And this is a block breaker. Very simple. You're going to write down 5 things you see. So, as I look around this room, I have a lamp. I have my old dog sitting there, fast asleep. She's also deaf, so she doesn't even know I'm talking right now. She may start barking, and if she does, I apologize for that. Polly is her name. So we have lamp, we have Polly. I have all my notes. They're everywhere, you guys. I'm a little bit messy when it comes to my writing organization. So I have papers everywhere. I have my stand that my computer is on. All right, I'm lying. Told you guys I was going to be raw with you. It's not a stand. It's a folding chair on top of the table. Folding chair. I have a stand, but it's just not as good. So I went with the folding chair. It was the right height. So I have this folding chair that my computer is on. And let's see something else in this room here. I have a half-eaten apple. I was taking bites between takes. What can I say? Not separate takes, of course, because y'all are getting all my mistakes, but between different videos. So those are 5 things that I see. The next things that you want to do, you're going to write down 4 things you hear. See how we're walking backwards? This is a countdown. So I hear the buzzing of the lights. I hear my marker on the board. I hear my dog snoring. I don't know if you guys can hear her snoring. So if you do, great. I just gave you one of your 4 for your countdown. If not, sorry about that. So I hear my dog snoring, and I hear the board rattling against the wall. We're going to go to 3 things you can smell. For those of you who didn't hear the board rattling before, I bet it's really bothering you now. So, 3 things I can smell. So, interestingly, I almost always get this question. I don't smell anything. Okay, write that down. Maybe there's a neutral scent around you. So what are those 3 things that you can smell? So for me, my big favorite whiteboard cleaner is acetone. I use the 100% stuff to clean it. But then, to make sure it's got a nice, smooth, wipe-offable surface, I do dusting spray. So like the Pledge, I smell both of those. And I think I might need to take a moment to take something else. So it's not neutral in here because I smell the acetone and I smell the Pledge. So I would need to look for something. So I'm going to smell this and I'm going, okay, that doesn't smell. I guess that's good. You know, my hair doesn't really smell like anything. I'm going to sit on that one for a little bit. But I do have my almond lotion on, so I can say the almond and smell that. When you're doing this on your own, in your own like office or living room or kitchen or wherever it is that you're doing your writing, or if you're lucky and it's like warm season and you're sitting out on your deck doing this, take the moment that you need for each of these and really look around and really listen and really smell and think about that. Then we want to do 2 things that we can touch. Okay, this is where I got to take a quick moment and tell you, when we think touch, everybody automatically goes to their hands. Touch. You're thinking, this is how I touch things. I touch with my fingers. That's touching. You're not wrong. Of course, that's how you touch things, is with your hands. But that's certainly not the only part of our body from which we can experience the sense of touch. You can feel touch by feeling the temperature of the room. You can feel touch if you're sitting by feeling the surface of what you are on. You know, whether or not it's hard or cold or soft or padded, or, you know, you can feel touch oftentimes the crowd around you. So if you're in a really busy place, you might feel somebody brushing against you, or just, you know, that little bit where the hairs on your arms start to stand up because somebody came just that close to you. So touch, I want you to think beyond your fingertips. I want you to think with your whole body when you are thinking about the sense of touch. So in the sensory countdown, the sense of touch, right now I feel the Berber carpet under my feet. And I am writing Berber carpet down because if I just said carpet, it's not specific enough. Berber has a different feel. It's like being on soft furry popcorn or something. I don't know. It's not the same as on like a shag rug. It's not the same as those indoor-outdoor rugs. The type of rug that it is different. It feels different. So if you're on a braided rug, that's a different feel. If you're on a hard floor, so I can feel that. And that by describing exactly that it's a Berber carpet, I'm actually able to feel and get a sense of what that is under my feet. The other thing I feel, I'm going to go with like the temperature of, or actually I'm going to go with like the stagnation of the air in here. I turn off the vents when I'm in here taping, and so sometimes the air gets a little still, and I've done a lot of videos today, so it's a little still. So there's kind of like this kind of still air. I wouldn't say it's like, an old high-rise office building where sometimes it's just stuffy. Notice I was like, it's stagnant air, but it's not stuffy air necessarily. It's just still. It's a stillness. And I could have actually even gone with that word still. It's just not what I chose to do. Now, I used to have taste in all sorts of different places. I've put taste down at the one thing that we put in here. And the reason I did that is because typically what we are describing, we are not experiencing taste. It's the least often experienced of the senses, but when we experience it, it's one of the most influential to our whole thought process and the TFIs that we're going to be getting into. Taste and smell both. They're very interconnected, but I put it down at the bottom when I'm doing the sensory countdown because of the fact that I don't really expect that most of you, as you're sitting here watching this, are experiencing a whole lot of taste. That being said, we're walking through this sensory countdown while I'm sitting in kind of my multi-purpose space recording a video. If I was doing this in a restaurant, I might put taste and smell closer to the top. I might put see and hear lower. I might put touch. You can swap around the sensory countdown according to where you are, what you're doing, or what it is that you're trying to attain. If you are in the middle of trying to break through a writer's block, as you are creating a scene in which you have a whole lot happening visually, maybe it's a festival or a carnival, some sort of a summer activity, you're probably going to want seeing and hearing up high because there are a lot of sounds and a lot of visuals that are occurring with that. If you are at a restaurant, you are going to want that smell and that taste higher up at the top. So think about what is the best order for you to put your sensory countdown in. So right now, taste for me, I've been talking a while, so a little bit TMI here, but all I can taste right now is like saliva. My mouth is like, seriously, just shut up already and like get some coffee in that mouth of yours or the rest of that apple that you have sitting over there. So that's all I have in my taste right now is I have that saliva piece. So right now we have our sensory countdown in place. I have 5 things I see, 4 things I hear, 3 things I smell, 2 things I can touch or experience with my sense of touch, and 1 thing that I can taste. So what the heck do we do with all of these things? That's the real question. So the question is then to apply that next layer. So this is all tangible. Anything you're doing with your senses is tangible. So let's bring in that intangible. Let's bring in that creative side through our TFIs. Anybody who's worked with me, been through my classes, gone through my book in a month, or any number of other things that I teach, has learned that TFI is what I call the 6th sense of description. It stands for thoughts, feelings, imaginings. These are not tangible. They're creative and personal. This is the piece that we're going to use to tie together our sensory countdown. So as I'm looking at this, I'm feeling like, what do I feel about this? And I make it sound really unattractive, and the truth is, I enjoy doing these videos, but when I'm reading through this, and I'm like, okay, really like saliva and stagnant air and acetone and the board rattling and a half-eaten apple, I could write a really ugly thing here. So I'm actually going to go there. One of the things I like to teach some of my writers that work with me is that oftentimes as writers, we're thinking everything has to be pretty and poetic and lovely. And I don't want that to be the case. In fact, some of the grossest things that we can write, some of the most vivid, awful things that we create are the things that your audience can relate to. I used to teach this exercise when we talked about playing ball with the dog. And of course, everybody wanted to describe this really soft dog and he's running it back and forth. But I'm telling you, the ones that people remember are the people that wrote about the dog's stinky breath and the slimy blue rubber ball that dog brought back that's like dripping with dog spit. I mean, it's just nasty. But guess what? People could relate to that because that's what it's really like. Playing catch with a dog. yeah, their breath stinks, they're panting, they're dropping this wet thing into your hand, and you got to throw it again. So I'm going to concentrate on these pieces. We've got Polly, who is, she's snoring, and we've got I'm going to go with the acetone and the stagnant air, and the saliva. You don't have to pick all of it. And I'm just going to do an imagination here. Again, this is imagined because it is not real. I'm going to tie it together with an imagined thought. I'm telling you it's not real because I do really enjoy doing these Graphospasm lessons with you. So imagine I'm going to give myself, my character a name here. I don't know what name I'm going to give. We're just going to call her Betty. Betty, for lack of better word here. So Betty was struggling through another day in corporate America. The boss's dog lay snoring at the water cooler. Not even loud enough to drown out the incessant, I'm going to do the buzzing lights instead, buzzing fluorescence. She choked on the saliva that filled her mouth as the stagnant air surrounded her pledge. I'm going with the pledge. Dusted desktop. All right, that's a horrible sentence. But characteristically, if I've created this person, Betty, who's maybe feeling trapped in her job, see how all of a sudden the creative juices start flowing? I've broken through a writer's block. Let's say I'm trying to work with a character who is a creative and who is an artist, and they're stuck doing this job that they just hate, and it's not feeding their soul. All of a sudden, just by doing a sensory countdown, I literally made this up with you guys on the spot. Betty was struggling through another day in corporate America. The boss's dog lay snoring at the water cooler, not even loud enough to drown out the incessant buzzing fluorescence. She choked on the saliva that filled her mouth as the stagnant air surrounded her pledge-dusted desktop. All of a sudden, in my head, I'm telling Betty's story. I want to know how she's ready to get out of there. I'm like, finally, she had the courage to tell that boss to stuff it. She walked past the dog and past the water cooler and out of that fluorescent lit stagnant room into the fresh air outside, and chase her dreams from there. So whatever it is, it's going to help break through that writer's block. The reason that my brain is able to start working that way is because I lit up both sides at once. I lit up the sensory, the tangible, and then I tapped in the creative side of my brain, and I lit up the TFIs. So, sensory countdown. This has been one of our Graphospasm lessons. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a great day.